So thank you very much, my dear students. So today we will discuss about the lecture 4 and 5. The title of the lecture 4 and 5 is, you see, the development trend of the name of Bangladesh, origin and identity of the people of Bangladesh, and finally the history of Bangla language. So in this class has some particular objectives. So we have to discuss about the objectives of today's session. So let's see the objectives of today's class. So first of all, we have to investigate the origin and identity of the people of Bangladesh. I mean, how the people of Bangladesh was developed. What was their development trend? We have to disclose based on today's lecture. Secondly, we have to explore the origin and identity or the development trend of the name of our country. Today, you know, the name of our country, Bangladesh. So how it was developed? What was its development trend? So we have to discuss everything based on our today's lesson. And finally, the language which when we speak out, that is the Bangla language. So in this language was not developed by one day. A lot of people in several times they came in our country and finally they ensured their permanent settlement, and finally they contributed lots for the development of our Bangla language. So all this in together we will discuss in these topics. So I hope you will enjoy with me. So before the starting of my lecture, I just want to ask you for your brainstorming. I mean, before going to the lecture, you just ask yourself, have you any idea about the origin and identity of the people of Bangladesh? I mean, people of Bangladesh are not same feather. They are mixed. Why they are mixed? Did such types of question created in your mind or not? So if such types of questions created in your mind, you may answer by your own self what the reasons behind of that particular facts. Anyway, so can you answer the questions? Maybe or maybe not. Anyway, so inshallah in these lessons we will discuss what was the origin and identity of the people of Bangladesh. So let's see that your answer. The branch of the social science which mainly responsible to go through about the origin and identity of the human being, it is called as anthropology. And those who are the experts in this field, they will recognize themselves as anthropologists. According to them, the human being was originated from Africa. After that, they spread out around the globe. Basically, for three particular reasons, people try to migrate one place to another place. Basically, the first and foremost reason was what? Let's see. The first reason was to conquer any particular place. That is the first reason. Second one is what? To do the business. I mean, the place which one is financially wealthy and prosperous. People obviously go there to survive themselves. And thirdly, the place which one is environmentally friendly. I mean, the place which is very much what I will say comfortable. Obviously, will go there. If I ask you to live your life in the peak point of the Everest, maybe you will go there to win the race for a particular moment. You will stay there, but after that you will go down because life is so rich on that particular place. And finally, to press the message of the Islam, a lot of people comes to our country for the pressing the Islam in our country. So these four particular reasons, several people came in our country for their for the permanent settlement in our country. So from this slides, which basically we will just trying to summarize. We just summarize the message that people try to come for some particular reasons. These all are in here for your better understanding. You will go through. So based on these four particular reasons, the first group of people, those who came in our country, according to anthropologists, they were the Austroasiatic people. These groups of people basically came from the southeast part of the Asia. These groups of people came in our country before the 7000 BC. BC means before the Christ. That means the birth of the Jesus Christ, the time which we are going to count, that is called the BC. So Austroasiatic people, they came from the southeast region, especially before 7000 BC, according to anthropologists. Whereas Professor Rumayun Azad mentioned them as a people of Sri Lanka, mentioned them as a Bedera. if you see the locations of the Sri Lanka and the locations which were mentioned by the anthropologists, this one is the southeast. So both one, we may figure out that the Sri Lanka, that is the integral part of Southeast Asia. So there is two views almost same. I mean the views of Professor Hossain Azad, which one he described in his book Lal Nil Dipaboli, Bangla Sahityer Jiboni, especially page number 12 to 16. He described elaborately about the origin and identity of the people of Bangladesh. Second group of people, those who came in our country, they were the Mongolian people. So Mongolian people basically came from the eastern part of the Asia. Basically, these groups of people came from the surrounding atmosphere of the Himalayas. I mean, those who are residing in the surrounding atmosphere of the Himalayas, I mean the hill tracts region, from these regions, the groups of people, those who came in our country for permanent settlement, these groups of people recognized as a Mongolian people, whereas Professor Hossain Azad also mentioned them as a Mongolian people. But there is another reference which we may reveal that Rabindranath Tagore, he written down a particular poem, Bharatirtha. So in that poem, Rabindranath Tagore mentioned them as a Hun people. So some historian mentioned them as a Mongolian people. Some people define them as a Hun people. Some people also mention them as a Sino-Tibetan people. So what about we mention them? But we have to remember the name of the second group of people, those who came in our country. They were the Mongolian people. According to anthropologists, the third group of people, those who came in our country for the permanent settlement, we may recognize them as a Dravidian people. These groups of people basically came from where? That is the burning question for us, for our understanding. These groups of people basically come before the 3000 BC. These groups of people came from the southern and western part of the Asia. At the present, if you would like to mention them, especially from the Caucasus to Trans-Siberian region, I mean the region where always the snow-covered region we may found. So from that particular regions, the group of people, those who came in our country, they were recognized as a Dravidian people. So the name of our country, later I will discuss, the name of our country, Bangladesh, basically derived from the name of that particular group of people, Bong. So whereas Professor Hossain Azad mentioned the third group of people, those who came in our country, they were the Indo-Aryan people. So Indo-Aryan people came basically northern part of the Middle East and eastern part of the Europe. So there is two groups of the people in the Indo-Aryan people. There is one group's name was Kantum, another was Shotam. So later we will discuss everything details inshallah. Then the fourth, a group of people which are mentioned by the Professor Hossain Azad, that is the Shak people. Shak people means the people, those who are coming from the Turkmenistan, I mean the Turushko, I mean those who people speak out in Turkish language. These groups of people came in our country. They were the Muslim people. Later we see a lot of Muslim people like Persian people, Arab people, Pathan people. Let's see the Mughal people. These groups of people came in our country for the permanent settlement. So finally, if you look at the chart, you see the first group of people, those who were coming in our country, they were the indigenous people. Among them, there was a lot of people like Jele, Do, Bede, Chondal, and then the non-Aryan people, which one I already discussed, the Austroasiatic people, Mongolian people, Dravidian people, and then the Aryan people from the Middle East, and finally others groups, they were the Pala, Shana, Arab, Turks, Persian, Shak, Mughal, and Pathan. These groups of people came in our country for the permanent settlement. So based on our discussion, we may draw the decision that the people of Bangladesh are not same feathered, they obviously the mixed one, melting pot. So I may ask you the broad question in your coming examinations, midterm or final examinations, do you think that the people of Bangladesh are melting pot or not? Or what do you think about the origin and identity of the people of Bangladesh? So you will prepare yourself, I hope so. Now we have to talk about the development trend of the name of our country Bangladesh. So what was the development trend of the name of our country? Does it develop one day or 2 days or some days? So we have to discuss in details what was the development trend of the name of our country. For a better understanding, we may divide these discussions within three particular segments. One is pre-Muslim era, how we just call upon the name of our country as a Bangladesh or as a Bong, as something like that. And then we have to discuss the name of our country, what was during the Muslim era, and then finally we will discuss the name of our country in post-Muslim era. So let's see the slide. So first of all, I just draw a diagram for your understanding. Let's see the name of our country. Firstly, it was a Bong. So Bong was what basically? Bong was the name of the tribal people of the Dravidian. Earlier, I told you in my lecture 2 and 3 that the word Bong, Bangladesh, was basically derived from the name of the Bong. Bong was the name of the tribal people of the Dravidian. So secondly, during the period of the Jonapada regime, I mean when we were the integral part of the Jonapada, I mean after the coming of the Indo-Aryan people, we were the integral part of the Jonapada regime. There was a couple of independent kingdoms that time. Today's Bangladesh was incorporating 6 particular independent kingdoms. These were in together called as a Jonapada. So during that time, one part of today's Bangladesh was recognized as a Bongo. It had 2 parts. One was Bikrumbru, another was Nadia, and those were the ruler of this particular domain. They will recognize themselves as a Bongo Raj. So based on the title of the king, we may define the name of our country during that particular time was as a Bongo. So then the Bengal, it was named especially after the darkness period of the especially the darkness period of our history in ancient history. Then we enter the peaceful, we just try to restore the peace in our society, especially during the Pala and Shana regime. In their record, they're just trying to call upon the name of our country as a Bengal, so in place of Bongo. And finally, we entered the regime of the Muslims. So from 1300, so the Muslim regime was basically initiated 1203 AD. We know the name of the Ethiopian Boktir Khulji, who defeated the Lokhon Shan. By the defeating of Lokhon Shan, we found that the Ethiopian Boktir Khulji initiated the Muslim regime in our territorial domain. So that was really the good things for us that the Muslim started their journey. But the Muslim regime, basically, which one we may mention as a landmark, that was started from the Sultani regime and also the Mughal regime. So Sultani regime was basically started from 1338 AD up to 1538 AD. In that time, Fakhruddin Mubarak Shah, he was the pioneer person of this, what I would say, the regime. So during their regime, they just call upon the name of our country as a Bangala. As what? Remember, as what? As a Bangala. So so let's see. Once again, I may mention the name of our country in Sultani regime. It was what? So it was obviously the Bangala. So have to remember the spelling Bangala. So sometimes you're mistaken in your exam the spelling, so you have to remember. So during the regime of the Sultani, that time we may find out 2 historians, especially Ziauddin Barani. He was the first Muslim historian. According to him, it was called, the name of our country was called as Iklim-i Bangala or DIU Bangala. Remember, Iklim is an Arabic word. It means land. I for of, so Bangala. That means Iklim-i Bangala means land of Bangala. On the other hand, Diyar-i Bangala, it is a Turkish word. So Diyar means also the land, so land of Bangala. So according to Ziauddin Barani, so we may call upon the name of our country as Bangala. Iklim-i Bangala or Diyar-i Bangala. Then we got another historian whose name is Shamshir Afif. According to his reference, we may describe the name of our country as a Shahi Bangala, Sultani Bangala, Shahi Bangaliyan. So the name of our country, let's see, Shahi Bangala, Sultani Bangala, Diyari Bangala or Iklimi Bangala, that name is absent in here. So you may add in your in your discussion. And after the regime of the the Sultani regime, we entered the Mughal regime. Basically, Mughal regime was started 1538 when Babur, they initiated the Mughal regime in India subcontinent, especially by the defeating of the Ibrahim Lodi. That was the time 1526. But in our country, we see Mughal, basically they started their journey when the 3rd emperor of the Mughal, 4th emperor of the Mughal, Jahangir, was in power. So Jahangir sent his messenger, especially Islam Khan Chishti. So 1608 AD, by the defeating of the Barabuya, we found that we were the integral part of the Mughal regime. So according to the during the Mughal regime, so we may clarify the name of our country as a Suba-e Bangala. So Suba, it means province. So at the present we practice the local government system. So local government means is what, you know? You have any idea what is local government? So local government means the body of the central government, which mainly responsible to look after all the policy in the root level. I mean in the rural level, in the root level. So local government always focusing the development which is which made by the policy by the central government. So local government means the government which mainly execute the policy of the central government. So during the Mughal regime, there is a 4 layer of the local government system. First one was Suba, second one was Sarkar, third one was Mohokuma, and last one was Mohalla. So the first one, Suba, it was the province. Those who were the king of the Suba, they were recognized as a Subedar. So the word during the Mughal regime, it was Suba-e Bangala. So the word Bangala, basically it was derived from the 2 words. First one was the Bong, then the Isle. So what was Bong earlier? I defend, so I will not mention again. And then the Isle. Isle means is what? Isle means those who are the coming from rural area to urban area. We know that we are making the demarcations one land property to another land property based on the Isle. That is the demarcation. So as the Bengal was a low-lying river area, natural disaster was a common phenomenon in our country. So to protect the people of our domain, we found that those were the ruler during that time, they developed such types of isle, I mean the dam. So based on Isle and Bong, it was called as a Bangala, which was described by the Abul Fazl in a book. The title of the book was Aine Akbari, which was published in 1590. So you will get in details in that particular book. And finally, the name of our country, it was Bongo once again during the period of the Nawabi regime. Especially, you know, the Nawabi regime was started from when? After a certain period of time. I mean, Murshid Quli Khan, he was the last Subedar and he was the first Nawab. So Nawabi regime, when it was initiated, especially when Nawab Shiraj Dowla was in power, during that time we just trying to call upon the name of our country as a Bongo. But if you look at the contributions of the Portuguese people, we may recall the name of our country during the Portuguese time. Especially they are coming for the business purpose in our country. When they came in our business purpose in our country, Vasco da Gama discovered the way to come from Europe to our territorial domain. When they came and finally starting their business, that time in their record they also call upon a particular name to our country, and they called the name of our country as a Bangala, BengalaH. So we didn't mention in here age, which one earlier we cited in here. So after the whatever say the regime of the record of the Portuguese people, so East India Company, they came in our country for the business purpose. They also just trying to call upon the name of our country as a Bengal in the record, the name which one earlier we just call upon. And then the 1903 AD, Herbert Risley, the key pioneer persons of the British Parliament, he gave a particular suggestions for making the partition of Bengal. Based on his plan, finally in 1905 AD, however, Lord Curzon decided to make the partition, which is called as a partition of Bengal. So that time the name of our country was Eastern Bengal. After that particular period of time, I mean when the British decided to leave our territorial domain, so they also decided to divide the state, and based on the two-nation theory, we were recognized ourselves as a East Pakistan, and up to 1971 we were recognized as the East Pakistan according to the record of the Pakistan, but in the regime of the Pakistan, especially after the Agartala conspiracy case, when Bangabandhu was released in 1969 on 5th disable. Firstly, the people of our domain, they're just trying to call upon the name of our country as a Bangladesh. Finally, you know that in 1970 on 7th December, one election was conducted, one election was held. In that particular elections, we saw that the Bangladesh Awami League, they ensured the landslide victory in both assembly, I mean in National Assembly, in Provincial Assembly. But the ruler of the Pakistan government, they are just making their lot of whatever say the dilemma. They are just trying to proclaiming to transfer the power and authority the leader of our East Pakistan. So after that particular election, so we were very much hopeful that our leader, I mean our Malik, is going to take the power of our territorial domain. But very unfortunate that they did not do this once. Finally, we declared the independence of our country on 26 March 1971. So from that day onward, we just trying to call upon or recognize ourselves as a Bangladesh. But as a new state, we established our country as an independent country. So to run all the functions of this state, we need a particular constitution. So we already we established one constitutions to run all the functions of our state. So in that constitutions, we have 153 articles. The first article define about the name of our country is what? That is the official name of our country at the present day. We are just called upon. On that time, it was the People's Republic of Bangladesh. So that's all about the development trend of the name of our country. So let's see all the styles, which one I already described. So you will get from here what was the name of the Bangladesh in pre-Muslim era. Let's see Bongo, Bengal, and then Bangala, Shahi Bangala, Sultani Bangala, Ziauddin Barani, how he explained, Shamshir Zafif, how he explained, and then Subai Bangala, then Bongo, Mirza Muhammad Sirajdullah when he was in power. That time we just trying to call upon the name of our country collectively. I mean the Bangla, Bihar, Odisha, in together it was called as a Bongo. Let's see the name, and then the name of our country, which one earlier I described, the post-Muslim era. What is the name of our country? Let's see everything in here. So I may ask you one question. Can anyone explain or define what exactly mean Suba in Bengal? Especially what is Suba? Can you explain? Can you mention the Suba, what actually it means? Yeah, we said that Suba was the province, I mean the first layer of the local government systems of the Mughal regime. Thank you very much for your feedback. So now we are going to another particular objectives, that is, have you any idea about the development trend of Bangla language? So the language which when we speak out at the present day Bangla, that is our native language, Ami Bat Khabo, Ami Jabo, Ami Dhakai Puri. This is our origin, this is our identity. Ami Defuril Vishwavidyalaya Puri. For these language we sacrifice our blood, especially in 1952. So how this language was evolved or developed, we have to discuss everything in today's sessions. So let's see the language which one at the present we speak out, that is basically developed by the Indo-Aryan language. So Indo-Aryan language, basically earlier I mentioned Indo-Aryan means the people those are coming from the northern part of the Middle East and eastern part of the Europe. The people those are coming in our territorial domain for the permanent settlement, they were recognized as Indo-Aryan people. So these groups of people basically contributed highly for the enriching of our Bangla language. Around the globe at the present, more than 300 million people speak out in Bangla language. In global ranking, a lot of people speak out in Bangla language. In world ranking, our position is 4th. Let's see. Our position is 4th at the present. You would be very happy and delighted that we are working very hard to get the status Bangla as the official language of the United Nations in future. So our late President Zillur Rahman, when Ban Ki-moon was the chairperson of the United Nations, when he visited our domain, our country, that time late President Zillur Rahman, he articulated one demand to him, that to get the status Bangla as official language of the United Nations. I personally feel, and we believe believe that once upon a time, along with other official languages of the United Nations, Bangla would be one of the official languages of the United Nations, because a lot of people at the present are working to restore the peace around the globe in the name of the peacekeeping mission. So the language which we are speak out at the present day, the language which one basically we are speaking at the present day, it is not developed by one day. It has obviously the history. So dear students, now I am going to discuss about the development trend of the Bangla language, how it was developed. So maybe you have a lot of questions, what was the development trend of the Bangla language. So let's see the slides. So the language which when we speak at the present in our country, this language basically was developed by the Eastern Indo-Aryan people. Basically the people, those are coming from the eastern part of northern part of the Middle East and eastern part of the Europe. There is two groups of people. Later I will discuss everything, inshallah. So these Indo-Aryan people highly contributed for the enriching of our Bangla language. So around the globe at the present, let's see, the more than about 300 million people speak out in Bangla language. What is in global ranking? Let's see, in global ranking, Bangla, it is about the 4th positions holding. So this is really the remarkable things for us. So let's see, as I earlier mentioned that the language Bangla, it was basically developed by the Indo-Aryan people. So Indo-Aryan people, there's two groups of people. One was a Kantum, another was a Shotam. So Shotam people, basically there is two groups. One was Irani Aryan, another was Indian Aryan. Basically I ignored the Irani Aryan. So the language which one we speak out in Bangla today, basically this language was developed by the Indian Aryan people. So directly the language which one we used to use in our Bangla language, this one basically called as a Sanskrit, which one directly developed by the Indian Aryan people. Little bit change which one we may found in our Bangla language, which is called as a Tatsham, but directly which one called directly the language which one come in our language, that is called the Sanskrit, that means Tatsham. Tatsham, then Prakrito, it means the Ardha Tatsham. So through the changing, it is developed through two patterns. One is Gauriya Prakriti, another is Magadhi Prakriti. So combinations of the Gauriya and Magadhi, it is called as a Bongo Kamrupi. Bongo Kamrupi, the surrounding atmosphere of today's Bangladesh. I mean Bangla, Bihar, Assam, and Odisha. So in together, the language at the present developed. It is the Bangla language which we speak out. So let's see the development trend of the Bangla language. There is a particular period of the Bangla literature or Bangla language. First one we may found from 650 to 1200 AD or 900 to 1200 AD. 650 to 1200 it is cited by the Dr. Muhammad Shaitullah. 900 AD to 1200 AD it is cited basically by the Suniti Kumar Chatterjee. The main focal point of these old Bengal was basically Chorja Pod. So Chorja Pod means is what we have to understand. Chorja Pod means the basically those were the followers of the Gautam Buddha during the period of the meditation. The matters which one they are uttering, they are soliloquizing, that's called in a word as a Chorja Pod. So there were basically 46 padas in our Bangla literature about, whereas 24 writers just trying to write that particular Chorja Padas. First padas was written down by the Luipa. First one is like Ka Turubor Ponchubidal Chonchol Chitto Poiba Kal. Ka Turubor Ponchubidal Chonchol Chitto Poiba Kal. মানে দেহটা হচ্ছে গাছের মতো, গাছ যেরকম পঞ্চম গাছে যেরকম 5টা ডাল 6টা ডাল থাকে, ঠিক তদ্রূপ আমরা যারা মানুষ আমাদের মধ্যে আমরা পঞ্চম ইন্দ্রিয় প্রাণী। গাছ যেরকম সময়ের সাথে সামঞ্জস্য রেখে ধুলা খায়, ঠিক তেমনি আমরাও আমাদের সময়ের সাথে সামঞ্জস্য রেখেই সমস্ত কাজগুলি করে থাকি। সো এই জন্যই ফার্স্ট পদটার মধ্যে এরকমভাবে বলা কা তরুবর পঞ্চমী ডাল চঞ্চল চিত্ত পৈবাকাল। সো মিডল বেঙ্গল basically this period was started from 1350 to 1800 AD. These times basically we have found Kritibasa Ramayan, Buddhachandra Dasher Sri Krishna Kirtan, then Monsha Mangal Kabba, Chondi Mangal Kabba, something like that. Muslim people also contributed lots for the development of the middle Bangla age, especially their contributions we are getting Shiri Forhad, Laili Mojnu, Yusuf Julekha, Prem Kahinil, something like that. And then the modern Bengal, which was basically started from 1801 AD to up to the present time. This time basically reflect the society. When we go through the novel of Sharat Chandra Chattopadhyay or Rabindranath Tagore, basically it is reflecting the society. For example, when we go to the Bilashi, what exactly we are just trying to identify? We are identifying the social structure, social stratifications. When we are going to another story, another article which is written down by the Rabindranath Tagore, Hoimunti, what actually we are getting from that particular write-up. We are getting the one particular message, the status of the women in our society. Anyway, so when we are going to the Poddanuddin Mazi, what we are getting? We are getting the reflections of the society. That means ঈশ্বর থাকে ভদ্রপল্লীতে। তার মানে কি? তার মানে হচ্ছে যে সমাজের যারা উঁচুতলার মানুষ ওখানে ঈশ্বর স্পর্শ করতে পারে না, সমাজের যারা নিম্নচরের মানুষ ওখানেই মানুষ সচরাচর নিগৃহীত হয়, নিষ্পেষিত হয় এবং ওখানেই সমস্ত সমস্যা আমরা দেখতে পাই। Anyway, so after the modern Bengal, we have to focus on the contributions of various races, various people, those who are contributing for the development of our Bangla language. Basically, there were 4 groups of people, those who highly contributed for the development of our Bangla language. The first group of people we may define as pre-Aryan people. So among the pre-Aryan people, there were 3 particular groups of people. First one, earlier I told you that the Austroasiatic people, then Mongolian people or the Sino-Tibetan people or the Hun people, and then the Dravidian people. So let's see the contributions of indigenous people. A couple of people contributed in our Bangla language. These were the Kula, Chal, Kodu, Alu, Chula. These types of words we are getting from the indigenous people. They highly contributed, which ones we in our Bangla we may call as a Deshi word. And then which one I'm just trying to describe the contributions of the Austroasiatic Mongolian people. Let's see Austroasiatic languages, Obola, Achir, Prachira, Ador, Alga, Mundari peoples, Khashia people, their words also we may found in our Bangla language. Sino-Tibetan means the people, those who are coming from the eastern part of Asia, the Mongolian people or the Hun people, their words, the Kachari, one group of people of them. There are a lot of words we may use, Okas, Ojola, these types of words at the present we are getting from the people of the Mongolian people. Now we have to define about the contributions of the Dravidian people. So in our Bangla language, there is a couple of there are some words which one we are repeatedly uttered. For example, Gora, Tora, Kapor, Chupor. These types of words basically developed by the people of the Dravidian and Kul people. Then let's see the Aryan people. Earlier I mentioned in my discussion that the Aryan people basically contributed for the development of the Tatsham word. The Sanskriti word, they highly contributed. And chronologically, Tatsham or the Tatsham, then Tadbab. All these in together developed by the Aryan people. So these people contributed for the development of our Bangla language. On the other hand, during the Pala and Shana regime, we also found that they also contributed for the development of our Bangla language, Bangla alphabet or something like that. And then we may found the contributions of the Muslim people. So among the Muslim people, firstly we may see the Arabic people, how they contributed. Let's see some Arabic words in here. Ukil, Kolom, Dalal, Lukshan, Khazna, Halwa, Masla, something like that. Persian words you see. And then Turkish words you see, Tushak, Galisa, Bibi. So the language which one we are at the present day we are using, it is not developed by the one group of peoples. These languages basically developed by the lot of people. Then let's see the contributions of the European people, how the European people contributed. So firstly, among the European people, Portuguese people came in our country. So let's see the contributions of the Portuguese people. Their words we are using: Almari, Alcatra, Alpin, Shaban, Gusel, Balti, Nilab. Lot of word. French word, Dutch word, A lot of words we may use in our Bangla language. Let's see, French words, cartouche, coupon, cafeteria, restaurant, Dutch word, horton, iskapon. So an English word also we may use in our Bangla language. For example, station, mustard, fan, chair. Lot of word. Chair, we may word at the present day we used to use in our Bangla language, which are basically contributed or developed by the English communities. So I'm describing a lot of things. Now the time has come to mention the name of some person who highly contributed for the development of our Bangla language. Who were they? Who were they basically? Those who contributed highly for the development of our Bangla language. So let's say a couple of people's name. So firstly, the name which one I mentioned, that is the Chandidas, then William Carey, Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar, Bankim Chandra Chattopadhyay, Sharat Chandra Chattopadhyay. So among them, Bankim Chandra Chattopadhyay, Bankim Chandra Chatterjee, then the Sharat Chandra Padhyay. Then obviously the person's name we need to mention Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar. At the present day, we are using our Bangla alphabet, Savarna, Benjarmana. That alphabet basically was restructured or reconstituted by him. So obviously we have to express our gratitude to him for the development of our Bangla language, for his tremendous efforts. William Carey, basically 1801 AD, William Carey established the Bangla department in Kolkata Fort William College, which one also contributed lots for the flourishing of the Bangla language in our territorial domain. So after that, we found the Michael Madhusudan Datta, Rabindranath Tagore, Kazi Nazrul Islam, Haraprasad Sastry, Sunidhi Kumar Chatterjee, Dr. Muhammad Shahidullah, Jarendra Mohan Das, and Nathaniel Barsi Halhat. These groups of people highly contributed for the development of our Bangla language. We have to mention one name, Nathaniel Barsi Halhat. So he was the first pioneer person who written down the Bangla grammar book for us. Especially the name of that book was a grammar of the Bengal language. Without grammar, I mean Bekaron, ভাষা কখনো তার গুরুগম্ভীর ভাব মজার যে ভাব সেটা পায় না. So we are getting that flavor from that particular book. So we have to express our gratitude to Nathaniel Barsi Halhat. Janendra Mohan Das, he written down one what I would say the dictionary, which is what I would say the consisting of 150,000 words, whereas let's see the percentage, 44% Totsham word. That means directly Indian people contributed. 44% contributions were getting from the Indian people. Okay, so there is another group of people, those who have contributed lots for the development of our Bangla language. So we have to mention the name of Dr. Muhammad Shahidullah, who has really contributed for the development of our Bangla language. He written down a lot of books for Bangla language. And then we have to mention the name of Janendra Mohan Das, who written down one dictionary consisting of 150,000 words. So if you look at the words, I mean 150,000 words, we may draw the conclusion that the language of Bangla is not the unique, it is obviously the mixed one. How? You see, 44% in our Bangla language, these all are the Totsham words, 3.3% Perso-Arabic words, 51.45 Tadbhab word. That means the language which one we have, it is not developed by the one group of people, it is not the unique, it is developed by the lot of people. So finally we may draw the conclusion that the language which one we at the present day speak out, it is not developed by the one day or one groups of people, it is developed for a long time, and a lot of people contributing lots for the development of our Bangla language. So I hope so when you will go through the slides materials, you will really learn a lot of things. Thank you very much to all, and hope so you will enjoy my session. Thank you.